everyone. Should be getting a little notification that this session is recorded. My name is Amy Julie, and I'm the director for the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support here at Illinois State University. I want to really welcome you to our session on strong CTE for ICAPS. And with me is Erin Bobronnik. And Erin, if you'd like to introduce yourself. Sorry, put you on the spot there.
That's okay. I'm Erin Bobronnik. I work with Sarah Goldhammer and Tara Schwab at the Southern Illinois Professional Development Center, and I am on the adult education side.
And we are very excited to have Carl Sandburg's Adult Education and Career and Technical Education program here. Ellen Burns is with Carl Sandburg, and Ellen, your title is
Dean of Career and Technical Education.
Dean of Career and Technical Education. And we have some questions for them about their amazing partnership. Unfortunately, today we're going to be a little low tech. For some reason, Zoom says I can share and is not allowing me to share my screen. So we are resilient, if anything, and flexible. We go with the day. So with that, Ellen, I'd like you to introduce yourself and your team, and then we'll go through some questions we have for you.
Thank you, Amy. So our team is a very unique team. We are two separate entities. Adult Ed is housed outside of the community college system here in our area. And so we partner with ROE 33 to have created this ICAPS model. With me today, I have Kang-hee Hong on our team, and then Margaret with the ROE. So I'll go ahead and let Kang-hee introduce herself, and then Margaret can share a little bit about their relationship with Sandburg.
Hello, I'm Kang-hee Hong. My title at Sandburg is Director of Workforce Development and Community Education. So I am ICAPS wraparound service support person for ICAPS specifically. But what I do for Sandburg is non-credit based professional development classes, community classes, corporate trainings.
Good morning, I'm Dr. Margaret Segerson. I am the Director of Adult Education at ROE 33, and what's unique about our situation is Kang-hee actually used to be in my role, so she really truly gets adult education, which is fantastic. So as the director, we do lots of different things, and a lot of my position's been reaching out to Carl Sandburg and really developing that partnership for the ICAPS and really helping to provide more students into their programs so that some programs can run on the Carl Sandburg side. So it's a little bit about me.
And I will let Amy know we had hoped to have a student here with us today, our ICAPS student, but he fell ill. So you'll have the three of us today as your main presenters.
That sounds fantastic. So my first question for you is going to be, how did this partnership start? And kind of tell us your origin story. Tell us how we all came to start working together for ICAPS programming.
That's a great question. And part of this stemmed from regulations. So, okay, we know that adult ed has to have an ICAPS program. And so sometimes the things the state requires us to do are great ideas. They're great things. They require us to do things that we should be doing, right? So we had heard that adult ed would have to be providing an ICAPS program going forward. And we knew that they have different options of who they partner with to create an ICAPS, but of course we wanted to be their partner on this. It made total sense. And Kang-hee, as Margaret said, used to be at the Regional Office of Education as the adult ed director. And Kang-hee reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like to talk ICAPS. And I will tell you, I was overwhelmed by it. I had a lot on my plate at the time. I'm just a portion of the CTE team here, but I talked with some of my peers and I asked, what do you know about ICAPS? And one of my peers had been at a previous institution that had a successful ICAPS model and said, hey, ICAPS is a great thing. We should entertain this conversation. And so Kang-hee pressed forward. And as we always say, Kang-hee can sell a refrigerator to someone living in an ice house. She doesn't take no for an answer. And she does it in a very kind, tactful, yet direct way. We love her for that. So she wasn't going to take no for an answer and continued pressing forward. And what she did was really unique, in my opinion. She brought Angela and Tara and Sarah from the adult ed side of ICCB and their entities to tell us the benefits of ICAPS and to get buy-in from Sandberg. And I thought that that was a very tactful approach to have us hear that from a separate entity. And like I said, just speak the benefits of ICAPS. And so that's kind of where it all stemmed from. Then in the meantime, we had some internal transitions. You know, we're in the midst of a pandemic, all of this exciting stuff. But nonetheless, it was still kind of in the back of our minds, like, hey, let's get this going. This is something we need to do. And so then I'll let Kanghi and Margaret share what that then looked like during that transition.
So I don't know if there's something you want to share before myself, Conhee, because I started at July 1 of last year. And what I was tasked with was getting an ICAPS up and going. And I come from the pre-K-12 world, so ICAPS was very foreign to me and lots of other things. And until I started really diving into it and realizing that really what ICAPS is in the adult ed world is really dual credit in the K-12 world. So with that, I was able to reach out to Carl Sandberg, and we wanted to get the CNA ICAPS up off the ground. And we literally started with a conversation and just simply sharing a Google Doc back and forth in order to really get the CNA ICAPS worked out with Carl Sandberg. And that was a unique experience for me, and lots of fun in many different ways. There were some things that we needed to work out as far as language goes. The CNA program didn't care for co-teaching for obvious reasons now, as far as different ways that they needed to have things approved at the state level. So we worked through the language and got the CNA ICAPS document all done collaboratively together and submitted to start running our first ICAPS in January of 2023. And then from there, we wrote the IBT grant and really started focusing on more of an ICAPS advisory board mentality. So that's where some of the people from the CNA program, the medical professions, as well as Ellen came to join our board, and then also Conhee. And so that's kind of how we all got started. And it's been very, very positive with our monthly meetings.
Yeah, so I joined Sandberg, Ellen's team last May. And it was really wonderful when Ellen said, hey, you already know ICAPS. Do you want to be ICAPS support person? And I was very thrilled because I get to continue work with adult ed, with ROE. So I am really happy to talk to our ROE students. Still, I get to visit them, talk with them. I get to give our college tour for the CTE classrooms and programs. And I get to check on them while they're on Sandberg campus. So it's been really nice. For example, even yesterday, last night, I got to have our HSE and ESL students come to our campus, and I got to show them around. And I also wanted some of the adult ed students who are close to getting their English level high enough to consider coming to Sandberg, or students who are almost getting done with their achieving their Illinois high school diploma, to be on our campus, having more experience. So we made those night classes to be on our campus happen, because then that they get to see our current CTE classes that are happening in the nighttime, so they get to see and experience more and see themselves in our classroom. So that type of partnership and continuing of support service I get to provide. So I'm very happy.
And just the little pieces like that have been so important. We had received some hesitation from students to take those HSE classes on our campus. I mean, they're still through the ROE, but we talked about physically holding them on our campus. So if they get into an ICAPS program, they're more comfortable coming to our campus because they're already familiar with it. And having the opportunity for them to be here and just come visit in the evening, kind of on a, I don't know if I'd say unannounced basis, but on a short notice. Yep, come on over, bring them over, let them see classes in session, meet some of our current students. That's been really helpful to get their buy-in that they want to become a student here at Carl Sandburg College.
And it sounds like a great story. So our next question is, what are 3 things you believe make your partnership work?
Do you want me to start with that one, Ellen, or do you want to take it?
You can take that one, Margaret.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with flexibility because I think that's really the center of a lot of things that we do, and that's been a benefit for all of us. For example, when we had a student that really was trying to get a petition to get together to not go to Carl Sandburg for the night classes, I was able to call Conhee and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. What do you think about a tour so they can see the classes and so they can start to see themselves there? And then maybe we can build in a tour of the manufacturing building so they can see the CNC class, since we're trying to build out that ICAP, and they could see the automotive place and so on and so forth. And it was an immediate yes. And the tour we took last week with one group of students, and then we took another tour just last night with another group of students. So the flexibility and just the excitement in the students' eyes were just absolutely amazing last night and the week before, where they can actually see themselves taking a college level class. So flexibility is key. As part of that, going along with the flexibility is really just that can-do attitude. It's really not a matter of, no, we can't do that, or no, that's not going to work. It's, how do we make this work? How can we shift this? Because, you're coming from it from different angles and things of that nature, and everybody's got their different goals and different deliverables and those types of things. But how do we make that work for everybody? So really that can-do attitude, and quite honestly, we have fun. We like each other. I think that's also a big piece of this, and making sure that we're meeting in person, not just on Zoom, and really getting to know each other and having those in-person interactions. And yes, we still meet on Zoom, and we've put some presentations together on Zoom when we couldn't get together, things of that nature, but just being flexible and that can-do attitude.
And then to piggyback on Margaret's response there, some other things we talked about prior to coming into this session was just being comfortable around each other and being comfortable at each other's sites. We've been invited over to the ROE's office and classroom locations and had the chance to see where the students are coming from, and then vice versa, they come here. So it's been nice being comfortable being at each other's locations, interacting with staff, knowing who the staff is at each location has been helpful. And then just little things like, now I have a better understanding of when students leave our alternative school courses, when they travel across town, what are some barriers they may face? What does that travel look like? How many railroad tracks are they crossing, and what delay might that cause? So when we plan our ICAPS course schedules, what does that need to look like to ensure that they have time to get out of class, get the food they need, maybe get gas in their cars, and then make it over. So just little pieces like that have been really helpful along the way in planning.
And I think we just working together in not only the ICAPS meeting in the aspect, we also have community gatherings such as workforce partner coffee chat once a month. We get to also be part of much bigger workforce effort for the community, and that's very meaningful. And because we've been working together, we together fit very well with the efforts and the conversation, and we get to partner in many different things, not only in ICAPS. So that is really really wonderful. And for this, our current transition academy, we're in one location, in one room actually. So just being together and having joy, just working together. I think that is a foundation of our partnership for sure.
And Kong, he had mentioned the coffee chat. So the coffee chat, we do indeed have coffee. In fact, when we get together, we oftentimes have coffee and food, which is always beneficial. But the coffee chat is more of an informal setting, but with, like they said, a larger audience. So we include our local workforce development partners, our WIOA partner, our CTE, EFE system staff, they attend that as well. And it's a kind of casual gathering. Once a month, we rotate locations. So each partner hosts each month, or a different month throughout the year, and rotate. But it's just really nice to have that monthly check-in also outside of our ICAPS specific agenda-based time. It's more of a time for sharing and fellowship, I would say.
That is fantastic. And a great suggestion for others to pick up. I do want to put a little plug in. If you do like spending time together, the cohort convos is coming up next week, which is a great opportunity, designated time led by the state to really focus on your program and get some guidance on developing a program, enhancing a program, thinking of different things around the program. So depending on where you are in putting together your ICAPS program, there will be something there for everyone. So that will be in Champaign, which for Carl Sandburg, that is a little bit of drive across the beautifully changing part of the state. So I mean, the leaves will be changing. I think construction's down a little bit right now. You guys just wrapped up the Spoon River Drive. So come on over and see us in Champaign. Our next question kind of shifts this to the other side. So what is the biggest challenge in working with ICAPS? What is the biggest challenge in developing an ICAPS program?
I think my answer here is going to be a little bit different than maybe Ellen and Conhee's answer. But I want to go back to the meeting that's going to be taking place. I think it's on the 26th that we are planning on going. And that was probably one of the most fantastic opportunities for our group, because it was dedicated time where we were all sitting in the same room, where we could start prioritizing what the ICAPS were that we were going to be working on moving forward, and really identifying that low-hanging fruit. And it really set the stage for what we did for the next year and what we're still doing now. So that I just wanted to let you know that was an incredible opportunity for us. And we plan on coming again and doing much the same work. So with that, as far as the biggest challenge from our end is really about funding, and making sure that if we do have a student that gets into an ICAPS program, that they're able to afford that ICAPS program. And so that's where the IBT grant has been instrumental in allowing us to get started and allowing us to build those ICAPS for the students that can't be funded through WIOA or for various different reasons. It's that funding piece is absolutely critical. So that's the biggest challenge from my end that I can talk about.
And our challenge is also relates to cohort convos to some degree. I would say one of the biggest challenges for us was getting buy-in. We are all so busy and have so many things on our plate that, you know, when we came back to our team and said, hey, we want to look at this model, this is something we'd like to approach. I think the question was, how are you going to fit that in? You know, how are we going to add that to our plate and be successful? And what's the expected outcome? And obviously our expected outcome is getting more students connected with career pathways that wouldn't otherwise have access. So I was really excited that we're able to bring this to fruition and have yet another pathway into CTE for area community members and students. But getting that buy-in was so crucial, and being able to go to cohort convos helped with that as well. It was great to be there as a team and have the subject matter experts there in the room with us. You know, we had Angela with her crown on. And so, you know, we knew, hey, Angela, she's one of the go-to people here on the team, as well as all of you, Amy, Tara, Sarah. The whole group was fantastic to work with to give us guidance. So back to the busyness aspect, though, with so many things on our plates, we knew to be successful, we'd have to set aside time focused specifically on ICAPS. And that's where these monthly meetings have come into play. We've also known, this month we're working on this application. So let's extend that meeting out several hours and work together. We knew that when we go to cohort convos, we need to be dedicated to that and put everything else to the side for that day. So having that dedicated time was definitely helpful to show that we can prioritize it and make it happen, even though we're trying to do lots of different things all at once.
He, did you want to add? No, go ahead.
Yes. So one of the challenges was our Sandberg entrance exam called AccuPlacer. So even though students might have the appropriate literacy level, but just the style of the AccuPlacer test was a little challenging for some of the students. So when ICAPS students were ready to register, we had to make sure they passed the AccuPlacer test. So we ended up making the AccuPlacer prep support service available from Sandberg. So now we have one-on-one tutoring available. So students who fail the AccuPlacer, they can get that support so that they can be familiar with the testing style and so that they can successfully pass that stage. So that's currently our only tutoring service that is available for non-Sandberg students. So that was a good development from Sandberg support.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to try this real quick to see if we can change our view a little bit. There we are, sitting in chairs. Just to make it a little bit more fun for our last question here, which is, what was your greatest success in working with ICAPS? If we don't like this, I can shift it back.
I would say one of our greatest success was our very quick turnaround at a very, very valuable ICAPS program. So just by getting together and having those monthly meetings, it's amazing how quickly things can be done. And Sarah does join us on our meetings. So it's really nice when we get to a little bit of a stumbling block that she's right there to answer some questions and give us some guidance. So it was amazing how we went from no ICAPS at this time last year to 3 approved ICAPS and probably a 4th or a 5th one on the way. So that's super exciting. We also had a student not only graduate with their high school diploma, but also graduated last year and earned the CNA certificate and passed that state board exam. And we have got 2 more students. So even though we started small, we're growing, and based on some of the excitement from the last couple of tours and Ellen and Conhee and some other people from Carl Sandburg coming over, it looks to be that we're going to be able to multiply the numbers of people that are in our various different ICAPS by quite a bit. So we are super excited about that. So that's some of our successes. I'm sure there's lots more.
That's fantastic.
Another success that I was very excited to be able to share was when I first came into my role about 4 years ago here at Sandberg. I had met Joe McQueen, the principal at Ray's, the alternative school through the ROE, at an area planning council meeting. And he had mentioned he would love to see a dual credit model for students in the Ray's program to get them into CTE, thinking, that would be a motivator to get them toward completion of their high school equivalency. And so I was committed to this idea of, okay, we offer that for our vocational center. How do we offer that for Ray's? And so when this model was shared with me, I thought this is a wonderful way to be able to offer that. And so I'm glad to say we successfully have our first Ray's student in our program this fall, in our automotive program. He is doing well. His peers absolutely love working with him. They all want to be his partner in the shop portions of class. He's turned into our spokesperson for ICAPS, and he's going around and singing the praises of ICAPS to his peers. And I've met other individuals in our adult ed program who are saying, well, I want to do this because so-and-so participated and told me how wonderful it is. So the word's on the street. So we expect to see some quick growth. And then the other piece I'm very excited about is our CNC program pre-pandemic was heavily comprised of non-traditional adult students. And when the pandemic occurred, we saw participation in that decline. And I think because of a variety of factors, a lot of people were worried about taking care of their families and providing. So we thought, this might be a great opportunity to encourage people to get into the CNC program that aren't otherwise considering it. And so we've had some wonderful tours and visits with our students in the adult ed program. And right now it's looking to be that we'll be able to provide that training through a full cohort this spring when we launch that program.
And Connie, anything you want to add as a success?
Well, for success, my success is more personal, that I get to continue work with early adult ed. And I really enjoy working with our ICAPS students. It just brings really warmth to my heart, and I just cheer them on. And my heart is with adult ESL, because I was a teacher, ESL teacher for 8 years. And I get to really talk to them that you can do this. You don't have to work at where you're at. You can actually get the certificate and move on and work in different places, even though your English might not be perfect. But once you improve your English, you can see yourselves here. And I'm here too, and I was an ESL student too. So I like being that role model too, that they have hope, and they have career pathway that they could choose from.
And I think what's really been neat about this relationship and this partnership is it's grown to the point that I don't feel as if we're separate entities. We are employed by different groups, but I feel like we all work in unison together, and we're able to provide more to our community members and our students by doing that. So it's been fabulous to be a part of this team.
That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I do want to go around again and around Robin. Well, first I want to ask anyone in the room. We have 30 people in with us today. Do any of you have any questions you'd like to ask this wonderful trio who is sharing with us about that partnership between CTE and adult education to form ICAPS programming? I also want to say, Margaret, you've done a great job of, shedding some light on the support that SIPDC and ICSPS provide the system. So if there are things that you're interested in, that is, when Sarah and I say reach out, we really mean reach out. We will come, we will help you through the process. Angela is fantastic. And it might not be Sarah, it might be Erin or Tara, and it might not be me, it might be Brittany, but there is a whole team of people supporting you as you develop your ICAPS programming. So take advantage of it, engage, reach out. That's what we're here for. We're here to help, we're here to support. So with that, if you have any questions, you are all able to unmute. So you can unmute, or if you want to post those in the chat, you can post those in the chat. I can probably just take us out of immersive view now. Thought that was kind of fun for a little bit of a Oprah look for a second. There we go. Does anybody have a question, or would anybody like to ask a question of our panel today?
I'll field the first question I see in the chat box there. The question is, can you please recap who you invite to your monthly meetings? Absolutely. So our core group typically meets monthly, and that would be Margaret from Adult Ed, Becky, and I'll let Margaret share who's from her team, because I don't want to misspeak for people's titles. So Margaret, if you want to share who from the Adult Ed side participates, then I'll transition to who participates from Sandburg.
Sure. Becky Wade is our new Bridge and Transition Services Coordinator. So she's been attending a couple of these meetings now. And we also invite one of our Bridge and ICAPS instructors to the meeting, as well as Joe McQueen has been invited. He's our alternative school principal. So when we were talking about ICAPS and really wanting to make it work with that schedule, we invited him. And we've invited Melinda, who is sitting on the Zoom meeting with us. She's our administrative assistant, and she fields all those phone calls coming in. So it's really important for her to really understand what ICAPS are all about and what we have, so that she can speak intelligently to the students about what our services are. So that's a little bit about us. There's probably been a couple other people. We call them rotating seats, so that when there's a need, we rotate those people in. They're not always involved in the meetings. We just want to really make sure that we honor people's time. So that's a little bit from the ROE side.
And on the CTE side at Sandburg, there are three deans in the CTE area. So our Dean of Health Professions, our Dean of Nursing, and myself, Dean of CTE. I cover more of our industrial technology programs at the college. And I'm also a Perkins administrator. So we always have someone represented from the dean side of the house, as well as Kang Hee on the workforce side. And then we also rotate in our instructors from time to time. So as we developed CNA, our nursing instructor participated. And then as we transitioned to automotive, we actually kept our nursing instructor on, so she could be peer support for our automotive instructor to kind of ease his concerns or fears stepping into this new concept. And then as she kind of passed that off to him, then she transitioned off. He joined, and now he's transitioned off as we have automotive up and rolling. So that's been really fantastic to have the instructors involved as well. At the same time, we've also included our director of financial aid and our recruitment coordinator for career and technical education here at Sandburg. So those would be our key players. We also have from time to time our WIOA representative in the conversation with us as they're available, typically monthly. And that's been very helpful as we have most of our students approved through WIOA for funding that are in our ICAPS. Margaret, did I miss anyone else on the rotating side?
No, you didn't. Not in that particular meeting, but I think one of the things that you started to touch on that was very important is our WIOA workforce partners. They attend some other meetings. And so some of our questions as far as what ICAPS that we're developing next and so on kind of develops in some of those other meetings. And then we bring it into the ICAPS advisory board. That way we're not having so many people attend different meetings and then they don't have time to do their work. And then we also have weekly meetings with our workforce person here where we go over the different students that might be eligible for WIOA services. So that's kind of an outside meeting, but we also keep him informed of what's going on in our advisory board meetings. So they're not surprised as far as what ICAPS we're creating and things of that nature. And we'll bring them into the table whenever we think or they think it's necessary.
Any other questions for the group? I will say, if you're watching the chat, Tasha Allen from ICCB did mention that having those great points of connections that are oftentimes missed, it's really nice to see that you all have taken advantage of all those opportunities to connect. I added words to what she exactly said. Any other questions or comments? Show of virtual hands. How many of you are now interested in attending those cohort combos or planning to attend already? Excellent. Yay. And not only to see the fall leaves, I know Aaron's probably thinking I'm a little crazy on that one, but it is, they're just starting to change. So if you haven't been out, be out. But yes, that's very exciting because it's a great day. And it really, I was talking with Sarah yesterday about it and we're like, do we change much? Because everything that we did last year really worked and everyone was very excited just to have that time focused on developing your ICAPS programs. So I promise you, we're not going to change much. We do have some other great resources we will be highlighting. If you haven't checked out the ICAPS manual, that is a fantastic resource that we will be highlighting a little bit next week and a little bit today. I do want to let you know, though, the registration for cohort combos will close at 4:30 on Friday because we have to get counts in. You will get lunch. It's not a virtual event. It's an in-person event. So you're going to get lunch and some other fun things. So we want to be able to close that to get those counts in. With that, any other questions? Any other comments? I'm going to be giving you back a little bit of time to your day if we don't, and Ellen and Margaret and Kang-hee, any other closing comments or things you want to make sure everyone knows that was not covered in the questions?
So if you weren't multitasking during the opening session today, you may have recalled that it was encouraged to not multitask while we attend. And so one of the strategies behind attending as a whole group in the same room, even though the conference is virtual, is that we really focus our time and our conversations on ICAPS during the conference. And that's been very helpful as we have breaks. We're able to reconnect, create a list of questions together that helps us move forward in developing more ICAPS that we can have answered throughout the day without having to wait for an answer or wait until the next time we reconvene as a group. So that's been very helpful to have those sidebar conversations during those break periods. And then we stay more focused during the whole conference. We aren't, doing other things in the privacy of our offices. It's tempting, I know, but it's all about time management.
Mm-hmm. Excellent points, Ellen. Thank you. Margaret, Conky, anything you'd like to add to that?
I think the biggest thing is just permission to start small and get going and not try to be perfect from the get-go, and just move forward, because the biggest thing, if you're waiting to be perfect, then you're in a situation where somebody's not going to have that opportunity. So if you just get rolling, they're going to have the opportunity, and you just keep going, and just permission to start small and go with it.
Excellent points. And last but not least, Conky, what are your closing comments for everyone?
I wanted to add, so when I was working for ROE, so we're CBO, so we're different than community colleges who have adult education program, right? And I just want to encourage everybody who are, especially CBO, who are wanting to start up ICAPS program. The ICCB support was just incredible. Like Ellen said, the very first meeting with Crossover College and me representing the adult ed from ROE, I was really scared to explain ICAPS when I did not have any much understanding, right? So I said, okay, I just need your mouth to speak and just encourage them that this is gonna be worth it. And that was the full support I had. I had three people from ICCB just being that mouthpiece, and then they could just answer any questions at the very first meeting, so that the door is not closed, or I'm making harder for re-encouraging Crossover College. So I just want to say thank you to ICCB, all staff, and what they all do for supporting. It's just phenomenal team.
Excellent, thank you.
And I would also share the ICCB CTE team, the Perkins team, has been very helpful too. They've focused more of our Perkins administrator cohort meetings on ICAPS and working with adult ed. And so it was great to have that support and encouragement from them as we started down this journey.
Excellent. So I do want to just one caveat there. They talked about, or the panel today has talked about, when you start an ICAPS, ICCB is also there, and as is ICSPS and SIPDC, if you're already going. So if some of you are sitting there and you're thinking, oh, well, we're already going down the road, but we have this little hiccup, or we're running into this little wrinkle, or we'd really like some help getting over this little hump, ICCB and ICSPS and SIPDC will also help with those areas. So there is a phenomenal team, and Tasha put in the chat, they have a wonderful team here at ICCB. They really do. They're very passionate people who are so very focused on helping the colleges do well. So you have a great agency backing you. But they'll back you in any point in that intersection as you're developing your ICAPS programming. So if you've been doing this for a while and now you're running into a hiccup, maybe somebody has changed in your circle, they're willing to come there and help when we've had those meetings. Or as Conky said, it's, we need to be the mouthpiece to answer any questions. ICCB is willing to do that as well. So they are very invested in the ICAPS programming. They're invested in supporting the community colleges. So if you have questions, ask. And we have quite a few of them on. I could put them all on the spot, but I won't do that. But they are here with us today. They're going to be here with us on the 26th. So if you do have questions, ICCB is there. And we did, focus on Angela this morning. She is, and IT self-proclaimed, but I do think we proclaimed her as the queen of ICAPS. But everyone, we've been very intentional about making sure that all people who are working with you with ICAPS are aware of all the support that is available.